Welcome to OOTO TV, the out-of-the-office investigation from our past into the future of personal health and psychophysiological actualization. This time, we're challenging one of the most fundamental concepts in science: water. We are discussing structured water, psychophysiology of the human body.
And it's a discussion that really necessitates a full paradigm shift. For far too long, we've just treated water as HO, a simple, passive solvent.
Right, just the stuff things dissolve in.
Exactly. But our sources today, they compel us to see it as an active structural matrix, one that's responsible for governing, well, everything from the efficiency of our mitochondria to our overall resilience to stress.
Absolutely. And, the concept of water having a structure beyond the classic three phases, solid, liquid, gas, it used to live on the fringes of science.
It did.
But now, physical evidence is moving it squarely into the biological mainstream. Our mission today is to really explore the hard data behind this structural complexity.
And specifically, how consuming informed water actually impacts human health. We're going to define this mysterious fourth phase.
Okay. Explore how it forms a vital architecture inside our cells, a crucial layer around our macromolecules, and then scrutinize the really dramatic psychophysiological benefits that have been measured in recent human pilot studies.
And we'll even connect this measurable physical structure to the very intriguing realm of consciousness.
Let's get into it.
Let's start at the beginning. Most of us, we stop learning about water after HO. But our sources introduce a fourth state, often called EZ water, coherent water, or hexagonal water. What makes this phase physically distinct from the water we pour into a glass?
Physically, it's extraordinary. It's described as a plasma-like liquid crystalline gel state.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's even represented by the chemical lattice HO.
So not HO.
Not HO. And crucially, this is not bulk water. It's highly ordered, it's stacked, and it's energetically enhanced. It's the closest thing we have to, say, a solid-liquid hybrid inside the body. And the mechanism for this, discovered by Gerald Pollack, it centers on something called the exclusion zone, or EZ water. Can you explain how that actually forms within us?
Sure. The EZ water forms right next to hydrophilic surfaces. I mean, any surface that loves water, like our cell membranes and proteins.
Okay, so everywhere inside us, basically.
Almost everywhere. And as this highly ordered layer forms, it actively pushes out solutes, particles, and toxins. It literally forms a zone of exclusion right at that biological interface.
So it's a purification system.
In a way, yes. And this layer, astoundingly, takes on a negative electrical charge, which leaves the remaining bulk water positively charged.
Wait, hold on. If the structured water is negatively charged and the bulk water is positive, that sounds like something capable of holding and releasing energy.
Precisely. The separation of these charged particles constitutes a biological battery.
A battery.
Yes. And this battery is constantly being recharged by incident radiant energy, particularly infrared light, which we receive from the sun. It functions sort of like a photoelectric effect, where the energy that's absorbed transforms the water into a more structured, higher energy state.
That is just astounding information. It really supports the importance of healthy sun exposure in maintaining optimal cellular charge.
It does. It completely reframes it.
This immediately challenges our assumptions about simple hydration then. If EZ water is essential for, biological sorting and barrier function, then we have to consider the source of our drinking water.
We absolutely do. And look, we have to state that structured water, psychophysiology of the human body, suggests that drinking purified water through osmosis and desalinization may not be good for health.
Why is that?
Because if water has been stripped of its natural energy and structure, it may lack that vital organizing function required at the cellular interface. It needs that coherence to work properly.
So how does water acquire this coherence in nature then, besides just sun exposure? What physical actions are involved?
Nature uses dynamic forces. Spiral and cyclical movement, or vortexing, is paramount.
Vortexing.
Yeah, think of how energy moves in a whirlpool, or how ocean waves follow the geometry of the golden spiral. Vortexing forces water molecules into a more structured alignment.
And that energy input, it's from more than just the sun. It's also related to specific electromagnetic fields.
Yes, exactly. The forces mentioned: vortexing, unfiltered sunlight, moonlight, and even the body's strongest electromagnetic field.
The heart's EMF.
The heart's EMF are all essential for promoting and maintaining this coherence. It's a system that's designed to be perpetually charged and organized.
You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Bullo.
Now that we understand this easy zone phenomenon, let's go deeper literally into the cell. The question really is, how much of this ordered water is actually inside us, surrounding the machinery of life?
And we have some exciting high-resolution data on this from Ramanyan microspectroscopy, which analyzed the water inside living cells. So what did they find regarding the proportions?
They found that while about 97% of intracellular water is still bulk-like,
Okay, the regular stuff.
the regular stuff, yes, there is a consistent and measurable population of biointerfacial water, which accounts for roughly 3% of the total. And while 3% sounds small, its concentration relative to other cellular players is massive.
Let's clarify that concentration point, because this is where the physics of the cell potentially flips completely upside down.
It really is. They quantified its abundance at 1.4 molar.
1.4 m.
To put that into shocking perspective, the most dominating traditional electrolyte inside the cell, potassium ion, K plus is only 0.1.
Wow.
This means the structured water layer is 14 times more concentrated than the most common electrolyte. If water itself is acting as the dominant charged agent, it radically changes our view of how cellular signals are mediated.
That's profound. It suggests water isn't just a medium for ions to float around in, but maybe the primary conductor and regulator itself. What about its actual structure? Is it neatly stacked, or does it have a kind of functional disorder to it?
That's a great question. It exhibits a weakened hydrogen-bonded network and a lower tetrahedral order parameter, or TOP. It's about 0.57 compared to bulk water, which is around 0.66.
So what does that TOP number mean for us?
Think of a TOP as a measure of how neatly the water molecules are stacked, like bricks in a wall. Bulk water stacks pretty neatly, but the biointerfacial water is slightly less uniform, which is exactly what makes it so active and dynamic.
And their whole cell model paints this really vivid picture. All globular proteins inside living cells are functioning underneath just one full molecular layer, a tiny 2.6 angstrom thick shell of this biointerfacial water.
And that single structured layer is the linchpin. It is critical for every major function, including proper protein folding, efficient enzyme catalysis, and membrane assembly.
So based on this microscopic reality,
it's unequivocally true that we must state that structured water. Psychophysiology, the human body, creates a healthy environment for cellular growth and success.
and that success, it has to translate directly into energy production, right? The mitochondria.
It does, and this is why we must state that exposure to structured water. Psychophysiology, the human body, is critical to our mitochondrial and adaptive energetic potential. This structured water facilitates the exchange of electrons and protons during aerobic respiration. It significantly contributes to the recycling of our energy biomolecules.
So if the structure of water fails...
the energy system fails. It's that fundamental.
Okay, let's transition now from the microscopic architecture to the macroscopic results on actual human subjects. We have this 2019 pilot study by Korotkov and colleagues. It involved 30 subjects consuming 1 liter of structured water daily for a month. What made this study period particularly rigorous?
Well, it was conducted during what they called an unfavorable seasonal, climatic, and epidemiological period, basically a time of seasonal immunodeficiency when the body's adaptive capacity is naturally reduced.
So a time of high stress.
Exactly. And that context makes the results of the experimental group, the ones who drank the structured water, even more compelling.
Let's start with the hard physical changes they measured: detoxification and body composition.
The results were striking. The experimental group saw a significant reduction in total body weight, and specifically due to a reduction in fat mass, suggesting a much improved metabolic state.
Okay, that's significant.
But more critically, there was a significant decrease in creatinine levels alongside a growth in the glomerular filtration rate of the kidneys.
Which sounds like enhanced plumbing, for lack of a better term.
It is. That's a great way to put it. It reflects a measurable improvement of renal excretory function and a definite decrease in the level of endogenous intoxication of the body.
So the structured water consumption was literally making the body cleaner and more efficient at filtering waste.
That's what the data shows, yes.
Okay, now on to the stress response. How did this structural change affect the autonomic nervous system?
The heart rate variability, or HRV data, showed dramatic shifts towards resilience. There was a significant growth of parasympathetic activity. That's the rest and digest part of the nervous system.
The recovery system.
Yes. The metric RMSSD, which is a key indicator of vagal tone, was up 19%. And HF power, which tracks high-frequency parasympathetic input, was up 26%.
So for you listening, RMSSD and HF power are simply high-level measures confirming that the body is relaxing and recovering more effectively. It's reducing the physiological cost of just existing.
Precisely. They also saw a decrease in sympathetic regulation, meaning the body wasn't stuck in fight or flight. This all indicated a substantial growth in the economy of the respiratory and cardiovascular systems, and, therefore, a higher adaptive and energetic potential.
And what about the BioWell parameters?
The BioWell GDV parameters, which is a method of visualizing the body's energy field, showed a decreased stress index for most participants. The whole system was calming down.
You're listening to OOTO TV with research by author Paul Bulow.
Now, if I can, let me interject my necessary note of caution here. While these results are powerful, we have to inject some of that Béchampian contrary commentary.
Please do.
The study noted one specific finding. The average concentration of hemoglobin in erythrocytes, the MCHC, it increased in both the experimental and the control groups.
Both groups. So what does that mean?
It tells us that some of the improvement in general blood health and water salt metabolism occurs simply from the act of regular sufficient water consumption, regardless of structure.
Okay, so just being properly hydrated helps.
It does. We can't attribute every single gain to the structure alone. That would be unscientific.
That's a crucial context. However, the control group, which simply drank the same volume of unstructured water, they reliably showed negative dynamics for most of the other critical parameters.
That's right.
The HRV stress metrics and the general BioWell indices all got worse for them. This really underscores that the structured water provided a clear systemic protective effect that the unstructured water lacked against those adverse seasonal stressors.
The difference is adaptation and resilience. That's the takeaway.
Let's broaden our scope one last time before we conclude. We've discussed the measurable physical structure and detoxification, but what about the idea of water structure responding to human intention or consciousness? We have the work popularized by Emoto, showing water responding macroscopically to intentions like love and gratitude.
And this seemingly esoteric work is, strangely, supported by high-tech physical measurements. Atomic force microscopy, or AFM studies, on certain artificial membranes showed an oscillatory hydration force profile.
In English.
It means that water was demonstrably organizing itself in discrete sequential layers, up to 5 deep right near the membrane, with a precise periodicity. You could measure the layers.
So the structure is physically measurable right there at the interface.
Yes, and significantly, that oscillatory force, which reflects the ordered water layers, was severely disrupted when the membrane was made fluid.
What does that suggest?
It suggests that the organization of water is highly responsive, not just to intention, but to the physical state of the surrounding biological environment. It's in constant communication.
Okay, let's synthesize all of these findings. We've moved from theory to measurable reality. Structured water, the EZ or hexagonal phase, is measurable in the lab and exists in our bodies as that critical 1.4 molar layer around our proteins. So the key takeaway, based on the pilot study, structured water. Psychophysiology, the human body, improve our human health.
Based on the evidence, the answer is an unequivocal yes. The study confirmed a reduction of fat mass, highly improved kidney function, and a remarkable statistically significant increase in adaptive and stress response capacity, exactly when the subjects needed it most.
And if these effects can manifest in just 30 days, what are the implications for long-term health and vitality?
Well, this leads us to the conclusion that we have to state that structured water, psychophysiology of the human body, can be linked to preventing illness and increasing longevity. This is supported by broader research showing structured water enhances rehydration, increases intracellular water content. There are even models showing improved total brain area in mice consuming specific structured water.
So the benefits are foundational to cellular homeostasis.
Absolutely.
This shift in internal coherence clearly impacts the mind and body together. So bringing it all together now, how can structured water,
Psychophysiology of the human body, affect our mental and physical health?
physically, it enhances the economy of your major systems, your respiratory and cardiovascular systems. They just work better, more efficiently. Mentally and adaptively, by shifting the autonomic nervous system balance towards robust parasympathetic activity, it directly promotes rest, recovery, and energy conservation.
The detoxification.
By reducing endogenous intoxication through improved renal function, it lowers the overall physiological stress load on the body and the brain, and that directly leads to increased vitality and mental clarity.
For listeners who are captivated by this concept and want to pursue coherence in their own water, let's recap the methods drawn from our sources. What are key elements for structured water? psychophysiology, the human body.
The key elements are centered on movement and energy, so vortexing imparting that cyclical spiral motion.
Utilizing magnets to facilitate the flow, exposure to natural energy sources like unfiltered sunlight and infrared light, and storing the water in contact with specific crystalline structures or using commercial structured water devices. Even simple, consistent, positive intention towards the water you consume is shown to be effective.
It's truly remarkable that the structure of water, which comprises about 70% of our mass, can be so responsive to both physical forces and, well, seemingly intangible input.
And that really is the powerful and provocative thought we want to leave you with today. If the water molecules in a cell respond perceptibly to the surrounding electromagnetic field, including the strong, coherent field emanating from the heart, and if water can be influenced by human intentions like love and gratitude, what are the implications for maintaining the coherence of the water within us? The physical architecture of life may be directly regulated, moment by moment, simply by the coherence and quality of thoughts and intentions we hold. It gives a whole new and very profound meaning to the idea of self-care.